Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Marco Podcast,
a show dedicated to the realness of organization and entrepreneurship. This space was created for every woman who needs motivation or inspiration to get organized and to keep going after her dream. I'm your host, Angel J. Sit back and prepare for valuable tips, resources, laughs, and much more. If this is your first time here, welcome, and thanks for joining. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you brought a friend. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. Today, I am talking with Sara Fins. Sara is an expert financial and certified health coach who spent over a decade as an accountant in the corporate world and a decade running her own health coaching practice. Now she blends her accounting background and entrepreneurial experience to help other solopreneurs manage and master their business finances with ease. Through her private coaching programs, workshops, and her signature course, Easy Business Bookkeeping, Sara helps small business owners feel confident, take their business to the next level, and earn the money and freedom they desire. When Sara isn't working with clients, you'll find her hanging out with friends and family or curling up with a good book in her Long Island, New York home. She loves to travel and see the world, and her favorite place to relax and recharge is at the beach. Let's welcome Sara. Hi, Sara. How are you?
Hi, Angel. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you too, and you're welcome. Thanks so much for being here. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we get started?
No, I think that was a great intro, so thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. So what type of books do you like to read?
Oh, my favorite are fantasy novels.
Okay.
So like all kinds of fantasy. The more unrealistic, the better. I like to read to kind of escape. So.
I got you. I too like to read, so I'm completely with you on that one. Okay, so cool. So how did you get started as an entrepreneur? I know you said that you have some accounting background, some health coaching. How did all of that lead to where you are today?
Yeah, it's kind of a winding road.
Okay.
So I graduated college with an accounting degree and I earned my CPA, and then I worked in corporate accounting for about 10 years in various roles. And then when my first child was born, my daughter, she's 14 now, I went back to school to study nutrition, which was a passion of mine, and got certified, and I opened my health coaching practice. And so that was kind of my first foray into being an entrepreneur and having my own business. And I worked in that business for about 10 years and worked with, private clients. I did group coaching. I did group cleanses and things like that. And what I realized during that time was that a lot of my colleagues were struggling with the financial management of their businesses. And so I started kind of helping some of them on the side and get their financials set up, get their processes set up for their businesses. And one day I just had an idea that I could create an easy system to help them. And so I tested that out, and that's how my current program, Easy Business Bookkeeping, was born. So that was the first iteration of that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you're actually the second accountant that I have talked to, and both of y'all kind of like fell into it. It's like you were already doing the thing, but then it's like, oh, okay, you kind of like ended up creating something on your own, on the back end. And I'm going to tell you, just like I told her, like, y'all at numbers, I tip my hat off to y'all. Numbers they're not my thing. So grateful for accountants and people who love numbers, and it makes them excited. So.
And you're not alone in that, actually. And, so many people feel the way you do. And I was finding that was actually a major roadblock for some of my colleagues and clients that I come across. And so I really try to keep things super basic and show my clients that it's really, you don't need to be an accountant to understand your numbers and to, learn to manage them. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So do you do the bookkeeping for your clients, or do you teach them how to do the bookkeeping, or is it a combination of both?
I teach them how to do it. So, the way I set up my program is to kind of get them situated, right? And I help them do that. I work through it with them. And then once it's up and running, then they can use it on an ongoing basis to know their own numbers. And, eventually, if it makes sense for them to outsource, that's great. They can take what they've done in my system and then provide it to their bookkeeper so that they have a really great, solid starting point. But yes, I help them to get their financials situated through my program, but also through coaching as well.
Okay. So you do, that was my next question. So you do coach them if they still need like help. Is it like a program that they go through that it's for a certain amount of time and then it's like, okay, it's time for you to spread your wings and fly? Or is it ongoing that you're kind of always there for them if they need it?
It's ongoing. So once someone decides that they want to join my program, it's, a one-time cost to join, but then they get the templates and the instructions and the videos and all that. But then they also get access to my community. And I run every month what I call a money date, where it's a Zoom call. It's included. There's no additional charge. They just hop on and it gives them a dedicated time to go through their numbers. They can ask questions. And then also if they want more support, I'm always available for, a coaching call or whatever it is that they need. So once they join my community, they're never on their own. So they always have my support. I just don't do the actual entering of the numbers and all that for them.
Okay. Got you. So what are some simple bookkeeping practices that people who are just like, I don't like dealing with numbers, I'm not good with it. What's something simple that they can do?
Yeah, I love this question. Well, the first thing is to dedicate a regular time, either each week, each month, whatever makes sense for your business, to look at your numbers. And that could be something as simple as just logging onto your bank accounts and looking at them, or entering your numbers into whatever your accounting system is that you're using or your bookkeeping system. Because if you make a regular date for it, it becomes so much easier over time. And then, to that end, if it's something that you don't love, like you mentioned before, try to make it fun. Maybe you have an accountability buddy where you check in and say, oh, okay, today is the day that we're going to be looking at our numbers. Are you going to do it? Yes, let's do it. So you can hold each other accountable for it and, maybe put on some nice music, have a cup of tea, do something to make it a little more enjoyable. So that would be one tip I have. Make a regular date to do it on a regular basis. And then also to find a system or process that works for you, because there are so many systems out there, fancy bookkeeping systems you can use, but I recommend using the one that you're actually going to use, that's comfortable for you. Because if you invest in something that's overcomplicated and more than you need, you're never going to use it, right?
Right.
So yeah, so those are I would say my two biggest tips.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. And I've heard a lot of people say, that you should set your money date and that you should do it once a month, but I've never heard them say to do it with a buddy. So I like having that accountability, and maybe you can find a buddy who likes numbers or something like that,
Right.
so that, their excitement can kind of roll over a little bit to yours, or at least keep you motivated. Because if it's two people together who are both like, oh, I'm dreading this and I don't want to do this, it's probably not going to get done, or either it's not going to get done right. So to have somebody maybe that loves numbers to kind of keep you on track, at least for that 30 minutes or an hour that you need to take to look over it, I think that's a good idea, to get an accountability buddy with that. So Sarah, what are some of the challenges or struggles that you usually see when people come to you for your services?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I see from clients that come to work with me. One of the things being that they feel like they don't have the time to dedicate to managing the money in their business. And so, most of my clients are solopreneurs. They wear all the hats. They have so many things going on, in their business. And as, things get busy, the financial management gets pushed to the bottom of the pile, right? So that's one challenge that I see. So I really aim to help them streamline what they're doing to manage their finances so that they can do it in, you were saying before, like 30 minutes. My money dates that I mentioned are 30 minutes. And I've asked my clients if that time is good, and they like that because they find that that's enough time for them. So, that's one challenge. Another challenge is not feeling that they know enough. So about accounting or about finances or about numbers. And so we talk a lot about that as well, to help them to really feel confident about what they're looking at and what they know they need to look at so that they can feel comfortable and feel confident about that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone just tells you, start a business, start a business. Nobody tells you all the little things and all the back end things, that goes with it. Like, you have to be accountable for your money. You have to keep track of your money. You can't just go out and spend your money and be like, oops, I don't know what happened to it. It's so much. And it can be a little scary when you're trying to wear all the hats, and you may even be good at numbers. You may be good at everything. Like, you may not be an expert at it, but you can get through it and you can push through it. But then when you have to start trying to wear all the hats, something's going to get pushed to the back burner. Something's going to get forgotten about. And so I think it's important that solopreneur, small business, that they get the education on the important things, like the main things that they need in order to run their business and to be successful with running their business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
And so how does your course work when people sign up for your course? How does that kind of work?
So if they sign up for the course, then they get immediate access to download the video tutorials and the templates, and they can start using it right away. And then if they want to come to the money dates, they have access to those, monthly money dates. They can put them on their calendar. It's an accountability call where we just meet over Zoom. And then if they want additional support, they can reach out to me to schedule one-on-one sessions where I can help them really get everything personalized to their business. Although it's not necessary because all the information is in the tutorials. So I break it down kind of step by step to show you, revenue, expenses, deductions for taxes, all the detail of all the things in an easy way so that they can get started and then use it going forward. So I created it. The reason I call it, the name of it is Easy Business Bookkeeping, is because I wanted it to be easy and something they can jump into right away.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then I know also earlier you said that you don't actually do the bookkeeping portion of it, like entering the numbers and stuff. Do you have someone that you work with that you could kind of refer people to, or is that something you thought about doing?
Yeah, I am connected to a number of bookkeepers for that purpose. So if my clients get to the point where they are ready to outsource, I do have referral, connections to refer them to, depending on what they need and where they're located and all of that. So yeah, I certainly refer out. And also too, for tax professionals. And, I am a retired CPA, but I don't prepare taxes either. So I have a referral network for accountants as well, if someone's looking for help to file their taxes, for example.
Okay. And so from a financial standpoint, if you were just having a conversation with someone and they were like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a business, like, here's my business plan, here's everything that I have out, what is the first thing that you would tell them as it relates to money and what they should do with it?
Yeah, from a financial perspective, the first thing I would say is make sure you separate your business and personal finances. So even if you're a sole proprietor and you're filing your taxes, under your social security number, you don't have a separate business entity, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you have a separate bank account for tracking those transactions, and use one strictly for your business. It will be so much easier for you to keep track of everything, and you won't wind up having to go back and spend extra time looking through transactions to figure out what was business, what was personal. So that's my number one thing. If you're starting, if you haven't started yet, get your ducks in a row, make sure you have a separate place to house all your business transactions.
Okay. And so what if somebody's like, oh, well, I don't have any money in the business yet. Nothing's coming in. I'm just going to keep everything together right now. What would you say?
I mean, it's not wrong to do it that way. It's certainly not incorrect. And if creating a separate bank account is keeping you from moving forward and starting your business, then go ahead and keep it together. But as soon as you can, try to separate it out. But at the very least, if you do wind up keeping your finances in the same bank account for a while, make sure you are tracking them in some way. And that can be setting up just a simple Excel spreadsheet for yourself, just so you can look at the end of the year, or even more often if you have a lot going on, what's happening, what you're spending your money on, so you can make sure that you're not spending on things you don't need while you're building up the business and, bringing in more revenue.
Okay, cool. And so, Sarah, you have been an accountant, a CPA, a health coach, and now you're a bookkeeper. Which one did you enjoy the most, and why did you enjoy that one the most?
That's a great question. I mean, I enjoyed all of them at different points in my life for different reasons, but I really love what I'm doing now because I get to empower other small business owners with the knowledge that they need to help grow their business. And it's super rewarding when I work with someone and they come and they feel really confused. And then by the time, we've worked together for a little bit, there's so much clarity and empowerment there. And so it's really, really rewarding. So I would say that's my favorite right now. I love it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what's one lesson, I should say, that you learned from any of them that's kind of always stuck with you?
Don't be afraid to try different things, right? So if you try something, it's not working for you, try something else. And this isn't just specific to finance. This is, business related in general. Like if you're trying an offer and the offer doesn't seem to land, maybe you need to tweak it a little bit, but don't be afraid to try new things and reinvent what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been something that, I've done personally, and that's been really just something that served me well in my business.
I mean, you have to pivot and you have to reinvent yourself sometimes. Like 9 times out of 10, things they don't go the way that you planned for them to go, or, they go right when you meant to go left, they go forward when you're trying to, it's all over the place. So a lot of times you do have to tweak and you have to think and be quick on your feet. And like I said, just because you do have to pivot, that doesn't mean that it's something that something was wrong or anything like that. It just means that what you were trying didn't work. And maybe you need to add something, or maybe you need to take something away. It'll take a little bit of time for you to find your groove and to get to where it is that you want to be, or even where it is that you need to be. So,
yes. And I think every experience you have, you take something from that into your next, pivot or whatever it is that you're doing. So nothing is wasted, even those what feel like mistakes or what feel like failures are not, because you're taking them as a learning experience.
Right. I also say, it can use it as a learning experience. Don't think of it as a failure or mistake. Think of it as a learning experience. And so with coaching, I know you said that you went to school for nutrition, and then that's kind of when you got into the coaching aspect of it. What, from a coaching standpoint, I guess, what kind of advice or tips would you give to entrepreneurs?
From a financial coaching perspective?
From like a nutrition coach, from like a nutrition standpoint, like how to take care of yourself, or...
Oh, yeah. That's another topic I love. Make the time, for meal planning and making sure you have food on hand. Because again, as an entrepreneur, you're doing all the things, super busy, wearing all the hats. Many of us have families as well. And there's just a lot going on. And if you make time to prepare some healthy meals that you can have for lunch, or you can heat up quickly and keep yourself nourished, you'll have more energy and it'll be so much easier to do all of the things and meet all the demands that you have. So I think that that's really important, to eat real food.
Right. Yes. Junk food's so much cheaper and it's so much easier to access. But I completely get it. And you feel so much better when you eat real food. Like, I've just realized that since I'm getting older, eating junk food, it just doesn't do it for me. And I feel sluggish and I feel like just gross. And why did I do that? So I'm definitely trying to do more and eat better foods and less processed food. So, yeah. And so I have, guess, one last question for you. We're going back to bookkeeping now. I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but okay. I'm so intrigued by everything. Why is it important for solopreneurs to learn about their own bookkeeping and have an idea about how to do it before they try to outsource it to someone else?
Yeah, this is such a great question. I really, really believe that you have to have a basic understanding of your numbers before you outsource them to someone else, because you want to learn how to look at that so that you can make financial decisions. And also too, when you outsource, you want to have a partner. You don't want to just outsource and forget about it, because the relationship with your money is just that. It's a relationship, right? And it's your business. And you always want to be evaluating whether you have, money to invest, whether your offers are bringing in the money you need them to, if you need to tweak that, all of that. And if you outsource to someone else and you don't look at that on a regular basis, you won't know the answers to those questions, and you can't pivot, your offers, or you can't maybe pare down your expenses if you need to, or whatever it happens to be. So it's important to know. And then also, when you are ready to hire out to someone else, you know what questions to ask them, right? Because you want to hire someone, obviously, that's qualified. And it's easier to do that if you know what they need to be doing and what you need to be looking for. So I think those are really, it's a really important thing to do before you outsource, in my opinion.
Okay. So you brought me to another question. I know I said that was my last one, but you brought me
That's
to another one. So what is the question? So let's say that I'm ready. I'm at the point and I'm like, okay, I have the basic understanding of my bookkeeping and what I should be looking for and what I need to do. I'm ready to outsource it to an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
What are one or two questions that I should ask that person, ask that accountant, to know that they're knowledgeable about it, that I can trust them? What should I be looking for and asking them?
Right. So if it's someone to do your bookkeeping, meaning tracking all your finances for you, I would ask them, what they need from you on a regular basis to be able to do that. They might want to collect your receipts. They might need a feed from your bank account or whatever it happens to be. I would check with them and find out how often they will meet with you to go over your numbers, what kind of reports they'll be able to give you. And if you have access to that without needing to go through them, like, for example, can you go into the system yourself, look up something if, it's a holiday weekend and you need to look at something and they're not available, or whatever it happens to be. So if you're looking for a bookkeeper, those are the main points that I would start with. Okay. And if you're looking for a CPA, so someone to file your taxes, for example, that's not going to do the actual inputting of the numbers, you want to make sure they're local to your area so that they're well versed in the tax laws of your area for your state, as well as, for the IRS federal tax laws. And also you want to make sure they're knowledgeable in small business, because there's some wonderful accountants out there, but they're specializing in, personal taxes. They might not understand as much about small business. So, you want to ask questions about their past clients that were small businesses. Do they work with them on a regular basis? Maybe even talk to a referral or two, just to see that they do in fact know, because you want to have someone who knows about deductions and making sure you can take advantage of all of those things as you grow your business. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you
Is
for that.
helpful? Yeah.
Yes, that's very helpful. And so you brought up something else.
Yeah. I'm happy. Keep chatting.
So you said the thing when you're talking about the things to look for in a bookkeeper, and then you said, can I look up the information myself? So if they're like, oh no, you can't access that information yourself, would that be considered a red flag?
It depends on what you're looking for. It's not necessarily a red flag, because it may be that they have a system that, they can't give someone viewer access to. They only have like a login where they can make the changes. Okay. So it depends on what they have. So I don't know that it would necessarily be a red flag. I would say go with your gut. But if it were me, I would want to have access to at least view that information, whenever I want. I think it's pretty common to be able to do that. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, Sara, thank you so much for being here. I know we have endured some technical difficulties today.
You're very welcome.
And I really appreciate it. Before we go, is there anything else that you would like to share? I know you said that you had a freebie that you would like to talk about. So tell us about that.
Yeah, sure. It's called 3 Simple Steps to Managing Your Finances, to getting a handle on your finances today. And if you go to my website, sarafins.com/steps, and it's basically, some actionable tips that you can implement right away to get started on managing the finances of your business easily. So if you're interested in learning more, you can head over there. I also have a free Facebook group called the Easy Business Bookkeeping Community. So if you're interested in connecting further, you can always find me over there.
Okay. And I will make sure to link those into the show notes. And is there any other tips or advice that you would like to share today?
Don't be afraid. So don't be afraid to do it. You can do it. You can learn what you need to know, and it doesn't have to take you so much time. So be empowered to look at your money.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, Sara, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you for having me. You too.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Modco podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned something from it. Be sure to share this episode with a friend, family member, colleague, or anyone you think will enjoy it. Make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button. And if you love the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcasting app. That helps others to find us and gets us listed in other show recommendations. So you all know that I run on coffee, and so does the show. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by clicking on the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, and chat soon.